All right, today we're diving into something that, well, a lot of us go through, but we do it in silence. We're talking about the silent battle of self-worth. The material we're drawing from today starts with this really beautiful line, and it perfectly sets the scene. It goes, "There is a quiet room inside each of us where beginnings are kept." You can almost picture it, right? It's in that room where the blueprints for how we see ourselves, how we live with ourselves, are first drawn up. So what exactly is this battle? Well, think of it like a quiet war, one that's fought in slow motion right inside your own head. It's this deep, fundamental conflict over our own value. And the crazy thing is, it starts so small. I mean, we're not talking about huge dramatic events here. It's the little things. You know, a parent's distracted tone of voice, a teacher's look of disappointment. They're tiny moments, but they add up. They accumulate like dust. And before you know it, they've hardened into these solid verdicts about who we are. And that sticky, invisible feeling that coats everything, there's a name for it: shame. And let's be clear, this is so much more than just feeling bad about something. It's like this deep underground river that's constantly whispering that we are fundamentally flawed. It's not a judgment on what you did. It's a judgment on your very being. And this is such a critical distinction to make. Look at guilt. Guilt says, I did something bad. It's about your actions, right? And that can actually be useful, can motivate you to fix things. But shame is different. Shame says, I am bad. It's a judgment on your core self. And that just leads to hiding and feeling totally alone. One is about doing, the other is about being. Huge difference. Okay, so let's actually pull this apart. Let's look at the anatomy of shame. You know, the voice it uses, the wounds it leaves behind, and the stories it spins. So, the main voice of shame, oh yeah, you know this one. It's the inner critic. But here's a fascinating twist. The critic isn't just a villain. It's actually a misguided guardian. Seriously, it thinks it's protecting you. It genuinely believes that by keeping you small, by keeping you quiet, it's saving you from getting hurt or failing. And it is so clever. This critic doesn't just yell, "You're awful." No, it's way more subtle. It disguises itself as wisdom. It'll sound like prudence whispering, "Hey, don't even try, you might fail." It'll call itself realism, saying, "Come on, you're just fooling yourself." Can even sound like motivation, pushing you way past your breaking point. Seeing through these disguises, that's the first real step to taking its power away. So, where does this inner critic learn all these sneaky tactics? Well, it learns them from our early wounds, things like parental neglect, which can leave you feeling like you just don't matter, or public humiliation, which teaches a really dangerous lesson: to be seen is to be shamed. Betrayal shatters your ability to trust. And something called caretaking wounds can make you believe your only value is in what you do for others. And these wounds, they're not just bad memories that fade away. They become our internal maps. They literally guide how we navigate the world as adults. And they create these powerful, self-fulfilling stories. I mean, think about it. If your internal map says you are unlovable, you might, without even realizing it, do things that push love away, which only proves the map was right all along. That story that might have protected you as a kid can become a prison when you're an adult. Okay, so is that it? Are we just stuck with these maps? No, not at all. This is where we pivot. We're going to talk about the counterforce, which is the power of acceptance. And I want to be really clear, this is not about giving up. It's a totally different kind of energy, a different current altogether, right? Acceptance is not surrender. It's actually a really courageous act. Remember that quiet room from the beginning? Acceptance is like walking into that room and just turning on a lamp. The wound is still there, it doesn't magically vanish, but now you can see it. You can see it clearly enough to actually take care of it instead of just being lost in the darkness with it. This really lays out two completely different operating systems for your life. Shame runs on an economy of scarcity. It tells you that your worth has to be constantly earned, proven, defended. And man, is that exhausting. But acceptance, it runs on generosity. It says your worth is inherent, it's just there. It's not some prize you have to win, it's more like a garden you get to tend. Which all leads to the big question, right? So what do we actually do? How do we stop playing this game by shame's rules and start to change the terms of the fight? Well, that's what we're getting into next. Think of this next part as a toolkit for transformation. We're going to look at some really practical tools for building a whole new way of being with yourself. And it starts with something that sounds small, but it's like a tiny revolution in your daily habits. It's a super simple, but incredibly powerful 3-step practice. Step 1, just notice it. Notice the condemning thought when it pops up. Step 2, consciously replace it. Swap it out for a language that's just descriptive, not judgmental. And step 3, repeat. That's it. You just do it over and over and over until it becomes a new rhythm in your mind. Here's a perfect example. Let's say the thought is, I am a coward. That's a verdict, a label. Instead, you practice saying, I felt frightened. Can you feel the difference? I am a coward is a permanent identity. I felt frightened is a temporary experience. It completely reframes who you are from a final sentence to an ongoing process. And hey, we're not starting from scratch here. We can pull from literally centuries of wisdom. You've got Stoicism, which tells us, look, focus on what you can actually control, your own thoughts, not what other people think. Then there's existentialism, which is all about having the guts to define your own values. And Buddhism offers this incredible idea that the self isn't some fixed, flawed object, but more like a river, always changing, always in process. And believe me, the toolkit gets even bigger. There's the practice of self-compassion, which takes real discipline. There's narrative therapy, which is literally about rewriting your own story. You can use somatic practices like breath work to get back into your body. And maybe most importantly, you can focus on building new relationships that are built on trust and reliability, not on you having to perform all the time. All right, so this brings us to our final section, which is about what it means to live what our source material calls an answerable life. This is where the journey stops being about fixing a problem and starts becoming an ongoing practice. And here's the thing, the goal isn't to get rid of shame forever. That's probably not possible. It's a human emotion. The real goal is to change your relationship with it, to transform it from a judge handing down a life sentence into useful information, painful information for sure, but information you can actually use. So what does that look like day to day? It means really living a few key ideas, like treating your worth as the core of who you are, not some prize you have to win. It means building small, daily rituals for your mind and body. It means when you hear that inner critic, you meet it with curiosity, not just fear. And when we're with other people in our communities, it means we aim for restoring connection, not just putting on a spectacle of public shaming. When it comes down to it, this is all about the small votes you cast every single day. Every single time you choose a descriptive thought instead of a judgmental one, you're casting a vote. Every time you try to repair a mistake instead of hiding from it, you're casting a vote for a world inside your head and out in the real world where acceptance and accountability can actually be friends, not enemies. And that's where we'll leave it for today, but I want to close with a question, one that comes straight from the heart of this material. It's not a question that needs a quick answer, it's one to just sit with for a while. Here it is. If your self-worth wasn't a ledger that you had to constantly balance, but a field that you simply got to tend, what would you plant there?